When Christmas stopped World War I. Well, not exactly. Christmas is finally here. And as you guys can see, I have my Christmas tree, which I did not decorate this year. And I have two stockings right behind me, which I made in middle school. And funny story, my parents were wanting to throw those away. And I was just like, why are you throwing it away? Just give it to me instead. So I took it off from their hands, and I'm celebrating Christmas this year as much as I can. And once the holidays are over, they're probably just going to go back to the closet, collect dust for next Christmas. So are you guys feeling the Christmas spirit this year? Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? Normally, I don't celebrate Christmas. I see it as just another day of the year. But for some reason, this year, I wanted to do something special. And I wanted to do something special for you guys. So this year, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to take you guys with me to a little adventure. Specifically, back to the past, to the year 1914. And why, do you ask? Well, let's find out together. When Christmas stopped World War I. Well, not exactly. On December 7th of 1914, 5 months into the war of World War I, Pope Benedict XV called for a temporary ceasefire during the Christmas season. Military leaders on both the German and the English side rejected that idea, but there were a couple of troops in the trenches that ignored that completely. As night fell on Christmas Eve, the sounds of Christmas carols began ringing in German and in English across no man's land. The next morning, unarmed German soldiers approached the British line shouting, "Merry Christmas." They were then met with handshakes, chocolate, and cigarettes, and a spirited game of football, also known as soccer. The so-called Christmas truce was short-lived and never repeated in history ever again. But it does show in our darkest hour, there is still a little bit of humanity within us. Our story begins with Bruce Bairnsfather, a prominent British humorist and cartoonist, known for his cartoon character Old Bill, featured in the Bystander magazine, a British weekly tabloid during the First World War. Bruce Bairnsfather was born in Murree, British India, now known as Pakistan. Moved to England in 1895 and shortly joining the military. In 1907, Bruce left the military to become a full-time artist. Unsuccessful at first, he became an electrical engineer, and in 1914 re-enlisted back into the military as a machine gunner. He had spent a few months fighting the Germans, crouched in a trench that stretched just 3 feet deep by 3 feet wide. His days and nights marked by an endless cycle of sleeplessness and fear, with nothing to eat but stale biscuits and trying to smoke cigarettes that were just too wet to light. Here I was in this horrible clay cavity, Baron's father wrote, miles and miles from home, cold, wet, and covered with mud. There didn't seem the slightest chance of leaving, except in an ambulance. At about 10 p.m., Bruce had turned to a fellow soldier and asked him, "Do you hear the Germans kicking up that racket over there?" "Yes," came the reply. "They've been at it some time." The Germans were singing carols as it was Christmas Eve. In the darkness, some of the British soldiers began to sing back. Suddenly, Baron's father recalled. We heard a confused shouting from the other side. We all stopped to listen. The shout came again. The voice from an enemy soldier speaking in English with a strong German accent. He was saying, "Come over here." One of the British sergeants answered, "You come halfway, I come halfway." Soldiers of both sides began nervously climbing out of their trenches to meet up at the barbed wire fence of no man's land that separated both armies. They then began trading songs, tobacco, wine, and handshakes throughout the night. Bruce could not believe his eyes. Here they were, the actual practical soldiers of the German army. There was not an atom of hate on either side. And it wasn't just this specific battlefield. On Christmas Eve, small pockets of the French, German, Belgian, and British troops held ceasefires throughout the whole Western Front. Not everyone was happy with the truce. One German soldier had scolded his fellow soldiers during the Christmas truce, and he said, "Such a thing should not happen in wartime. Have you no German sense of honor left?" And that 25-year-old soldier's name was Adolf Hitler. Also, there was another story with a British soldier by the name Percy Huggins. He was relaxing with a German soldier when he was shot to the head by a German sniper. The sergeant who took over Percy's position wanted revenge, was picked off, and killed. There was one quote that caught my interest, and that quote goes, "Today we have peace. Tomorrow you fight for your country, I fight for mine. Good luck." And that was recounted by a German soldier to a fellow British soldier. Bruce then summed up the whole historic moment by saying this: "Looking back on it all, I wouldn't have missed that unique and weird Christmas day for anything." World War I ended in 1918 with over 15 million losses. It could have been known as the Christmas that ended the war, but instead became the Christmas that almost ended the war. I hope you guys enjoyed that little trip back to the past, and I hope you guys have a fantastic Christmas this year. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Feliz Navidad. I'll see you guys next year with some brand new spanking content, which I am absolutely looking forward to show you guys. Take care now.